Hello everyone! As I was working on the story of Silas and the Darkmoon Faire, I came across a part of the story which I just thought could be told better, shown in a much more grandiose way than my limited skills could ever produce. So I decided to reach out to the Lost Codex to see if they were interested in joining me on this little project. Not so little anymore, as their enthusiasm and wonderful skills, it did more than I ever thought possible. We now have a revised script with the aid of Shandryn, custom models with the help of Sir Thompshire, and even some voice acting with Taliesin, Evitel and Lawrencium. All of that combined, and in my opinion, I think we got something quite special. Enough for introduction though, we'll talk a bit more about them after the video. For now, sit back, relax, and I hope you'll enjoy. Life on Azeroth can be pretty stressful, and sometimes you just need a way to unwind, let your hair loose. If you have any hair, that is. Luckily for all of us stressed out little citizens of the Warcraft universe, there's one place that we can visit every month that really lets us have a good time without the weight of the world being on our shoulders for just a single moment. You can shoot yourself out of a cannon, watch an epic live band perform the top hits, visit a petting zoo, or even just unwind on a cute little carousel. Come one, come all to the
Darkmoon Faire.
Before the Cataclysm, the Darkmoon Faire was to be found every month in either Elwyn Forest or in Mulgore, rotating between the locations on a monthly basis. With patch 4.3, however, the fair found its own grounds, a vaguely circular little island with a spooky forest path leading down to the impressive grounds. We know a little about the fair, what you can do there and where it is, but when it comes to who actually runs this joint, well, Silas Darkmoon likes to hold his cards close to his chest. The affable little chap is a bald-headed gnome who found it and gave his name to this little family of misfits. Silas is, like most members of the Darkmoon Faire, fairly secretive about his past. He sees himself and the family that he has created as being a little bit different. He knows that people see him and the Darkmoon family as a bunch of freaks and misfits. He knows they might seem different or odd, but he wants people to know that they're really just like everyone else out there, who values the same things that they do. Now, to a lot of us, it might seem a little odd that Silas thinks that people think of him and his Darkmoon Faire troop as that outlandish and unusual. We've seen plenty of strange things during our time in Azeroth and beyond, and the guys at the fair, they don't really seem to top the scales in terms of weird stuff that we've seen. But that's for us, and not just regular people in the world of Azeroth, as we find out in Warcraft Legends Volume 4. It's a short comic called Blood Runs Thicker, and as a special treat today, the Darkmoon Faire has opened up a brand new attraction to tell the tale in all its glory.
Welcome, welcome, one and all, to the Darkmoon Faire. Gather round, and listen. Have a care. Tonight we learn not the start of our most humble isle. No, my friends, no. Listen, sit, and stay just a while. Tonight's tall tale will be grand. A story older than old from before. One of mystery, murder, and of family. And it all started here in South Shore. Now, long before the Cataclysm, our show made its way around the lands of Azeroth, traveling from city to city, faction to faction. Their rivalries were above us, or a alliance, it mattered little. For we here at the Darkmoon Faire embraced the strange, the exotic, and the wondrous. With tall tales to tell, games to play, and fun to share, we, the ever bizarre, were one close yet odd family. Such is the way here at the Darkmoon Faire. And in our odd family was the great Kerri Hicks, whose strength could crush boulders and iron rods like sticks. No obstacle was too great, no challenge she'd protest, but not everyone in the crowd was all that impressed.
A mere rock? That's all this lady can do? Come now, woman, show us the strength of your bare hands.
Yeah, show us your strength. Now, Kerri was more than just the strongest woman alive. The performance and wit, the presentation would survive. With a coconut in hand and a smile on her face, Kerri shattered the hardened fruit, the hecklers shocked and disgraced. Embarrassed and fruit-stained, the two men left the stage. Soon, however, they returned, seeking an outlet for their rage.
Someone ought to teach that wench a lesson.
No one embarrasses a fall rook.
Vengeance was in their eyes as they traversed the crowd. Now armed with clubs, the Falrooks once more stood proud.
You carnival freaks don't deserve to be here. You better learn your place.
But even with weapons, the brothers were no match. With a swing and a shove, their clubs gone with a snatch. But the Falrooks we know are losers sore. And so one brother cried out as the other fell to the floor.
Help! A Darkmoon has assaulted a patron! She's armed and my poor brother was not!
That's not what happened. Wait! They attacked me!
But the crowd now formed, brothers fuming with spite. Then came the shouts, a show turned to a fight.
Yeah, burn it down.
They never should have been invited. I always knew this lot was strange.
And thus arrived our dear fair father, Silas Darkmoon.
That's quite enough from you, young man. There will be no mob justice today.
Now it is here our story could have ended. Here peace could have been achieved. But such things would be boring, my friends. Heck, they may even just make you leave. With a snarl and a fist, one brother struck him right down. Chaos erupted, my friends, and chaos abounds. But soon the Falrooks faced a crowd where anger derived with the rage of an ogre and the strongest woman alive.
Birth! Kerri, enough. I will not have violence on the fair grounds.
As the crowd dispersed and the men spat their words, Kerri called for justice. She demanded to be heard.
Marshal Redpath should hear of this.
No, my dear Kerri. If he hears of it, it won't be from us.
You see, my friends, these two cowardly brothers were not some thugs. They were Cedrick and Erik Falrook, son of Terence Falrook, one of the wealthiest men in all of Hillsbrad. To incur his wrath would spell certain doom for the Darkmoon Faire, and Silas Darkmoon was well aware.
This is outrageous, Silas. They came to beat me. They beat you to a bloody pulp. They can't just get away with this.
But such was the plight of the Darkmoon, as guests in all lands that we went. Horde or alliance, it mattered not, you see. Our heads kept low, nice and bent.
I joined this fair, this crew, because you said we were like family. You said you were like a father to us. But what kind of father lets strangers into his own home to beat him and his family senseless? Just as I didn't need my own family, perhaps I don't need you either.
Kerri's words hit harder than any fist or club could have struck. And her words sang true. What family doesn't protect or stand up for their own? Such questions churned and churned in poor Kerri's mind. Not a cold drink could help, no words spoken in kind. On the next morning came the gallop of hooves.
Where's the woman known as Kerri Hicks?
Called Marshal Redpath.
Arrest her! Arrest her, Marshal! Arrest the woman that murdered my brother!
And so our tale had taken a turn, and death a killing, as we would all soon learn. Both bloody and horrid Cedrick's tale did tell. His brother's head had been crushed, his story sold well.
Marshal, I found these bloody clues in her tent.
Silas, I didn't do this. Please, you have to believe me.
Half the town saw what happened yesterday, Silas. These bloody rags are enough for me to arrest her.
Despite her pleas, her begs, her screams, Silas knew what all of this could mean. He let her go to be taken away, but on a single condition, his duty not swayed.
Now, I don't know what you hope to gain from investigating Erik's body, Silas, but here he is. Gruesome way to go, I reckon.
The tale that we'd been told, Cedrick had spoken it true. Erik's head had been whacked, yet Silas searched for a clue. With the magic of the eye to see past and future clear, Silas sought out Sage, our most gifted of seer. Yet crystals and bones were not only his gift, no, Sage was a master, his clairvoyance was swift.
There was a witness. Someone saw the killing, but it was not Kerri.
And so there he went, to the winery in tow. Kerri's lot was now dire, and Silas did know. His welcome was spurned, spat at with hate, and that guard from South Shore, there by design or by fate.
I wasn't aware the guards from South Shore work here in your winery too.
Your presence isn't welcome here, freak. Be about your business and leave.
My business is simply curiosity. For example, you seem to have a damaged wine vat here. Perhaps one of my construction workers could be of assistance.
Get away from that. Guard, fetch that cripple. What was his name? Peter.
Peter Hamelspot? Well, he hasn't shown up for a shift today. He hasn't been seen since the night before last.
And as Silas did listen, the clues set in place. Our Darkmoon father thought quickly, his mind all erase. As he rushed back to town, his plan coming together, he would need to move quickly, like demons from the nether. But down in a cell, our strong woman did wait. Alone there she was, unaware of her fate.
Marshal, what news on the fair? Where is Silas? Surely he knows I am innocent.
I'm sorry, Miss Hicks, but I'm not here to deliver news on behalf of Silas or the fair. I'm here to inform you... Well, there's not much more I can do. You've been sentenced to death. Your execution will be tomorrow morning. I am sorry.
And broken and alone our dear Kerri did feel. But she knew not of the plan that turned like a wheel.
Kerri is innocent. She's been set up and we cannot sit idly by as she rots in prison. Yep, I need you to track down the one person who can prove her innocence. A man named Peter Hamelspot. He saw what happened that night, and he hasn't reported in to work since, which may prove difficult in tracking him down. As for the rest of us, we're going to break Kerri out of jail.
And so began the plot to free the strong woman in jail. Carnies of all sized gather round for the tale. It began outside her cell, where her guards laughed and drank, their cheers cruelly spoken, their breath rancid with stank. 3 wraiths from the woods armed with dangerous fell fire distracted the outer guards, an unexpected threat most dire. And then came the Tonks, their cannons blaring out smoke. But the true threat, of course, was our gentle large blokes. And then came the frogs, swarming up to their knees, as Flick cackled out loud, as Kerri's gloom turned to glee. bang came the loud blast as Kelvis soared through the air. From Maximus' ultra cannon he flew high over the fair. With the rev of his saw and the chatter of wood.
Gelvis, you've all saved me.
Was there any doubt that we would? And down from the roof Birth caught her in stride, but their escape had been foiled. Oh, there was nowhere to hide.
Silas Darkmoon, you lot should all be jailed for such an affront. You were all fools to attempt such a thing. Yeb, get over here.
Yep.
A traitor, a snake. What treachery was this? Nay, Yeb was no rascal. His motives pure as a kiss. For old Peter had been found. His story was the key. No jailbreak was needed when truth would set her free. As the Falrooks arrived, Peter called back on that night. A gruesome sight he had seen, one that filled him with fright. Both brothers returned from the pub with their mead. Though Cedrick was sober, drunk was he on his greed. With a whack and a push, Erik fell to his knees, his head through the wine vat. Oh, a cruel lever was squeezed. With the help of a guard, bloody clothes were laid bare. When accusations were made, in Kerri's tent they were there.
Such claims are unfounded. This man's words are lies.
I will vouch for my son. He was at our estate that night.
And so here we were, back to square one. Terence Falrook swore truth to save his one living son. But the crowd had grown large, their rage now boiled to hate.
Lock up that whelp!
Toss that guard in a crate.
Though Kerri was free, no justice was done. The marshal swore truth for the fallen Falrook's son.
He cannot get away with this, Silas.
Fear not, my dear. He won't.
That snivelling old wretch. Who does he think he is?
That wretch is a man who has given this family more than half his life in service. A man who knows loyalty. Less can be said about you.
You believe him?
Of course I do. You never could share, and with your brother's death your inheritance has now doubled. I may find your actions disgusting, but I will not let them hang my only living son. Take this gold and leave. Run far from here. I will deal with the marshal. Just make sure those carnies don't find you.
With a sneer and a grin, Cedrick held his gold tight, unaware of the shadow who crept through the night. As he groaned loud and awoke, dark strangers now he did see, the many faces of the outcasts and the Darkmoon carnies.
I realize now, dear boy, why haters as you do, the discomfort you feel, it masks the fear within you. Our ever-strange dress, our oddities afar, but really, dear Cedrick, we're both quite the same, yes we are. We value money and family, happiness too, I should say, but we take care of our own kin in our own special way. Isn't that right, Erik?
Wait, you said you wouldn't stand for violence in your fair?
Oh, my dear boy, we're not at the fair anymore. Now, are we?
And with a scream and a slam, the coffin sealed without care. So remember, my friends, that blood runs thicker here at the Darkmoon Faire.
And so you see, Silas Darkmoon goes from being a spineless onlooker to a deceptively cunning and brutal guardian of his family in just those few short pages, completely changed the way that we should all see him. He knows the Darkmoon Faire walks a path outside of the norm, that they could be targets of bullying, brutality and bureaucracy, but Silas and his Darkmoon family are far from helpless, as we've just seen, and will go to any length to protect each other. There has been some speculation, however, that something slightly more sinister has happened to past members of the Faire. You see, on the Darkmoon Islands, if you die and you spirit walk back to your battered body, you might come across several ghosts. There's Cup Coincare, a goblin spirit who worked for the Darkmoon Faire, with Silas paying off Cup's hefty debts. However, the Carney life was not for our Cup and he tried to leave. We can see how well that plan played out as we run across the spirits, lingering on the islands that he was unable to escape from. Zazla the Troll is another spirit that we might run across. He was involved in a shipwreck and taken captive. He was to be executed until Silas saved him, and he watched as his previous captors were slain, something that we now know Silas Darkmoon was more than capable of. Still, Zazla died at some point, some way, somehow, and now lingers on the island, along with fellow spirits Brendan Paulson. Brendan ran away to the Fair as a child, claiming that his home was called Strom, and many years ago, Strom was turned into Stromgaard. It's possible that he simply shortened the name, or this is a very old spirit, which raises a whole bunch of questions about how long the Fair's been going around, how old Silas actually is, if he's truly a gnome, or if there's more darkness hidden underneath. Brendan would go on to spend most of his life at the Fair, before somehow ending up dead. We don't know how he died. Was it just an unlucky wander into the woods a day, or was it something more? Knowing what Silas is capable of, it certainly makes you wonder. Whatever might be the case, there certainly seems to be more to Silas than meets the eye. And you can learn Silas' sphere of transmutation through Kaltiran alchemy. This swirling orb will allow you to interact with cauldrons around Kaltiris and Zandalar, and then it comes with a couple of different effects. It can turn into a vial of continuous curing, which is a reusable healing potion, a stone of transportation, which will teleport you to a nearby safe haven, a potion of prosperity, which increases your proc luck while you're doing alchemy, or it could turn into a decanter of disguise, which makes you look like one of a variety of creatures from across the world. It will allow you to disguise yourself, which gives more merit to the idea that Silas is not what he looks like. Having the Darkmoon Faire use some of the old god aesthetics, it definitely has some wonder if there perhaps void and darkness lurking behind the scenes, a concept that Hearthstone has taken to heart with the madness at the Darkmoon Faire.
Though things aren't as they seem, just ignore those eyes that gleam. Come laugh and maybe scream at the Darkmoon Faire. You may think that you're dreaming, flying on a carousel. Surely there's nobody scheming or putting you under a spell. Shadows dancing, bounding leaves, swinging up the thing that sleeps. Right behind you something creeps and melts in the night with a dreadful delight at the dark
Silas shows up there as well as a 7 mana, 4 health, 4 attack card, with the wondrous ability of putting your minions on the carousel, rotating them either left or right. Now I'm really curious what new rides and new stories they might invent for Silas and the Darkmoon Faire in the future. There's a whole lot of mystery, a whole lot of potential to deep dive into, but time is going to tell. For now, you're up to speed on the story of Silas and how the Faire's family. A huge thank you to the entire team that has helped bring this story to life. Sir Thompshire for some modeling work, Shandryn helping out with the scripts, with voices from Taliesin as Cedrick, Evitel as Kerri, and Lawrencium voicing our Erik. The Lost Codex, I mentioned it at the start, with me approaching them to join in, and they just took this idea and they ran with it. All what you saw today wouldn't have come together without their help. For those of you who've been missing out, the Lost Codex, Jesse and Jeffrey, they worked their butts off to visualize the comic story, but this is of course not the first video they've made. Together, they work on their own lore channel, covering Warcraft with an immersive twist, showing the story of characters, histories, and even weapons through, well, you've seen the visuals they can produce. I wish I had the skills and quality to make something like that. And this is just a taste. I've loved their other productions so far. I would highly recommend to check out their channel and all the others of the team as well. Links to that can be found in the description down below. As for me, you could subscribe if you like my videos, leave a like if you enjoyed this one, and until next time, see ya!